I just go on and on. Would you like to go on a tiny bit before we introduce her? Or as
Yes, I am Nadine, and this is Nadine. And oh my God, so much fun with Nadine. She is a sexuality educator, a mom.
You're hitting something on your microphone, I think.
Oh, am I? Oh, yeah. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. She's a sexuality educator, which I want you to just touch on very briefly. She has ADHD, which is how we met, and the typical mental health issues that go along with it. Her current obsession is the movie Encanto. I want to hear about that. And Nadine's just like so fun. I remember you spoke at an event for us in the before times. I miss those before times, but this is nice. We can reach lots of people in the comfort of their homes on this snowy, chilly day here in Toronto. Welcome.
Hello. Okay. Let's see. Can you see me?
We can see you.
You can see me. Oh, okay. Okay, good. There I am. And there you are.
Fantastic.
Hello, everyone. Wow, what a glowing introduction. And now I'm like, ooh, had I known, I would have like really stepped it up outfit wise. But I like this. It's like cozy and pink. And as you said, it's like cold and snowy. So it's like I'm feeling the cheery sweatshirt vibes today.
I love it. I went for sparkle.
I love that. Yeah, we need a little sparkle sometimes, not just for New Year's Eve.
Exactly.
So Thursday.
Nadine, go for it. You know, you've got some questions.
Yeah, no, I thought you were going to say something. So tell us a bit about where you were when you started Kickstartology and where you are now, Nadine.
Okay, so yeah, when I started Kickstartology, I had been diagnosed with ADHD about probably about 9 months prior. And so I had sort of been through the, like some of the preliminary things, you know, I had connected with like my doctor and a psychiatrist, and I had gotten put on medication, and I had started, you know, sort of just reading and sort of trying to figure out like, okay, now I know I have ADHD. I'm starting to understand a little bit more about why I am the way that I am and why I have been the way that I have been. And one of the things that I was told when I was diagnosed is that possibly the reason that my diagnosis had gone under the radar for 40 plus years was because I had inadvertently sort of come up with just like hacks for dealing and getting by. And so possibly I didn't present in sort of the classic ways. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know, that's kind of cool. But I was also very aware that I'm like, okay, whatever I've been doing has been stressful and difficult and has left me with a lot of anxiety. And I thought, well, okay, I would love to learn ways of managing and navigating and thriving in my life that don't involve sort of trying to suppress all of the chaos in my brain. I want to be able to work with it. I want to, you know, be myself and just find more effective ways of being a person with ADHD in the world. So then I was like, I wonder if an ADHD coach is a thing. And it turns out that it is. And so, yeah, that's how I connected with you, Stephanie. We had like a really great call. And then as soon as we started talking, I was like, yes, okay. I think this is someone who can help me. I feel really great about this. And so that's how I wound up in the Kickstartology program. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. And just like super quickly, because I feel like if I say sexuality educator, everyone just goes, what is that? Like, can you just in like 1 or 2 sentences, just quickly tell them what you do in your day-to-day?
Okay. So basically what my job entails is sharing information with people about any aspect of their lives that sort of influences or impacts their sexuality and their sexual choices. And then also if they need help sort of navigating things like conversation, communication, or even just, you know, some support in kind of thinking through and processing where they're at and where they want to be in terms of their sexuality. That's what I do. It's really hard to summarize in a couple of sentences. But yeah, like if you go on my Instagram, you'll see it's practically speaking, it's all kinds of stuff that I do.
Awesome. And I
Yeah.
think if she hasn't already, Iman's gonna put that link to
Yeah, it's already in there.
Amazing. Yes, my favorite thing that you said was once everyone asks you if their like weird thing is normal, and you're like, there's no such thing as normal.
There's no such thing.
Yeah, which is a
Yeah.
great, actually ties right into coaching because everyone's so unique. And so you talked about coming in through an ADHD avenue, but that's not solely what we teach. Steph, do you want to touch on quickly like the intersections of what we do?
Well, I just think what's important to know that is originally in my one-on-one, it was one of the pivots. I thought I wanted to coach more women with ADHD, but I realized I didn't want to limit the program to that because the women I coach with ADHD tend to be more either late diagnosis or it didn't get in their way until later in life when their life gets, because they figured out the workarounds and the hacks. And when we get to that place in life, it's women who've had success here or there, like they've done stuff. And then suddenly they're like, shit's getting harder. And the overlap there is the same with women without ADHD, who suddenly their career might rise to a level where with children, especially, you might be like, oh, now it's all of this. Or here's the thing, a lot of careers, the path is clear. And then women get to a point and they're like, oh shit, I'm a little bit bored actually. Now what? And there's no roadmap.
Yeah.
And all of those situations, the process and the solutions that we have, the way we've worked it works for all of those. So I realized I want to coach interesting women who feel a little bit stuck, who are bored of one problem. They're like, I'm getting frustrated with this. And they just want to get to that next place with a bit more ease. And that's the joy of it. And I do want to ask Nadine, when we first met and still now, like you were basically like, here are all of the things I am doing. And it was so big. And part of what we focused on was just kind of like the philosophy of you can't take 2 trips at once.
Yeah.
And also sometimes you need to just slow down to manage your feelings and your thoughts in a very small little thing. And having the patience to do that is going to help you just accelerate.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually that's been, I would say, one of the most significant takeaways for me from the program and from working with you is just learning to, take a breath, to calm down, and also learning to trust that, the good ideas and the things that are meant for me, they'll come. And I know that sounds a little bit like woo and whatnot. But to put it in more practical terms, like one of the things that I made for myself that I was inspired to do after working with you is I have a book, and I can't show it to you because my laptop is literally sitting on it right now. And it's just a book where I like write down my ideas when they come to me. And I'm like, okay, they're there. They're in the book. The book's not going anywhere. And so I'm like, the things that are meant for me now, like I'll work on them and I can work on them now. And then here I have this book full of like all the ideas. And I'm like, some ideas are for next year. Some ideas are for 5 years from now. Some ideas might be for 10 years from now. And that's okay. So it's just for me, a really great tool to kind of, deal with that like burst of excitement and inspiration and whatnot. But I don't have to worry like, oh, I'm going to forget about it. And then it's going to be gone. And it'll never come back. So yeah, just really trusting that, life unfolds, a little bit as it's meant to, and also learning to trust myself and knowing that like, hey, I actually can go back to things and pick them up later. I don't have to do it all immediately.
Oh, that's so huge, right? Shiny object syndrome, we call it. And I had it a lot when we were building our business.
Oh my goodness. It used to be actually a big problem because we'd be like, but we could also do this and this and this. And then we'd get really tired.
Yes. Yeah.
And the other thing.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. The being kind to yourself. You just said that in the sentence, but I know that going from being an asshole to yourself to being kind to yourself, it's been a game changer for so many people.
Yeah.
Because often people think, but I need to be hard on myself. Otherwise I'm going to be lazy, which is a lie, right?
Yeah, it's an absolute lie. And I mean, like I've done so much work around this, and I don't want to act as though like this is just like a light bulb moment I had and then everything was different. But realizing things like, my value does not lie in my productivity. My value as a human, is intrinsic and inherent. And so, it's not about how much can I accomplish and then I'm a good person or I'm a worthwhile person. And, really reminding myself and coming back to, okay, look, the worth is there. You're human, you're here. Let's just start with that. And sort of everything else after that is gravy. Or some of that is like, well, I need to do what I need to do because, I can't take my inherent self-worth and go to the grocery store and be like, give me food. And inherent self-worth. So sometimes it is about but I do sometimes have to be productive to like make money and stuff like that. But yeah, it has nothing to do with me. So I don't need to beat myself up on the days where I'm like, okay, I got half as much done today as I did yesterday, or I got a 10th as much done today as I did yesterday. I'm just being like, no, I'm good. I'm cool.
Yeah.
So collecting data, not judgments.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not letting yourself get caught up in judgment math, right? Like, how good am I? Let me start calculating my worth. It's just, I'm worthy and here's stuff I'm doing.
Exactly.
Right.
It's much, and it frees up a lot of brain space. And I think especially in these times, I'm like, you know what, like the world is being harsh enough on all of us. I'm like, I don't need to add to that.
Completely that. Let's talk a bit about that. So you obviously you were getting quite a bit of traction in getting your name out there, building your business, and then COVID happened. How did you manage your mind through that? What did you learn through this experience of the last 2 years?
Okay, so how did I manage my mind? Again, it was like a variety of things. Like, I think in the beginning, I was kind of like I don't even remember how I was in the beginning anymore. That was such a long time ago. But I guess, yeah, like broadly speaking, I think where I was able to manage the best was when I was kind of like, okay, this is what it is. I can't control this. Don't control viruses. Don't know when this is going to end. Can't control what anybody else is doing. Which I think I was doing a lot of in the beginning. I was kind of like, when's this ending? What's happening? What are other people doing? What do I do? And I was like, okay, literally I can control what I do. And so in terms of my job and my business, I was like, okay, well, what I was doing, which was going into like classrooms and running in-person workshops and doing like production and like making shows and stuff, I'm like, none of that is happening. So new thing. So I tried like just different new things, and it probably took me about 6 months until I kind of hit on this idea. I was like, you know what? People often come to me and like sort of ask me like, how do you get started in this field? How do you become a sex educator? So I was like, okay, maybe I'm gonna like mentor sex educators because my business is kind of down. I have time to do it. So I put together a course called the Sex Educator Superstarter. And I was like, yeah, hey, if you want to kind of like get some guidance and mentorship and learn kind of, what steps to take in the beginning to get this whole thing going, let's do that together. And so that's what I did. And it wound up being really successful and really fulfilling and something that I had never planned for myself before the pandemic hit. And now that's kind of like my main thing that I do. And it's amazing and fun and has opened up all of these new possibilities for me. And it really has been this, like, for me, amazing silver lining of this whole pandemic. And in many ways, it's been the thing that's gotten me through. Like that and my family kind of being amazing are the two things that have, kind of kept me anchored and sane throughout all of this. Yeah.
I just have to tell a funny story. Often when clients have breakthroughs, they get to the other side. And then, Joanne, if you're listening, this was so you as well. And they get to the other side and they don't remember what it was like when they were the person before. Mm-hmm. So Nadine's like, I don't really remember like what I did at first. I remember very clearly. And I remember the call in which you suddenly said, I realized that I just need to first figure out what this means to me and how I'm going to handle it. And then I can focus on the other things. And you had this, you just suddenly, like, you're like, I did the homework and I did it. And suddenly I realized this, and I did A, B, C, D, and E. And it changed your entire way of dealing with the obstacle. Whereas before you were trying to force it. And it's so funny because I remember the change so clearly, the before to after. But because when we're being coached and when we're going through this, we fundamentally change how we see things,
Yeah.
it's hard to remember, oh yeah, that's how I did it. Right. So
Oh,
my
and I
coach
have
used
that
to
all
do
the
that to
time.
me. And I was like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. I'm already here. You know, and I'd be like, no. And she's like, no, but do you realize that it was totally different? And when you're the one experiencing the change, it's really funny, actually. And I see in my clients, and then I saw it, I'm like, oh, I get what my coach was saying. She's not crazy.
Yeah, no, it's true. And it's really hard to see it in yourself or feel it and then remember like, oh, this is what it used to feel like when I didn't have these tools or resources or my mindset was different. Like, yeah.
It's so funny. Any tips to the people?
Okay, any tips to the people? I guess, so one of my tips, and I touched on this already for myself, is to have trust in yourself. And maybe if you don't have trust, to have faith in yourself. The difference for me is trust is like, I know I have evidence. I've seen that I'm able to do whatever the thing is I'm able to do. And if you haven't done that yet, then the faith is I'm choosing to believe that I can.
Oh, I like
love
that.
the differentiation between the two.
Yeah.
And I think we have that in different words, but I like calling it the trust and the faith. That's real. I'm writing it down. I love it.
Oh,
You're talking. Yeah, it actually maps on exactly to something we were saying earlier this week. So I love that. So smart.
Thank you. That's been very helpful for me. Something else that may be helpful for folks that I'll offer if it's helpful for anyone else, is, I think it's just human sometimes to look at what other people are doing, especially in times like this when it's COVID. And I think a lot of us are just like in our feelings about it, and to be in your feelings and look at what other people are doing and being like, if only other people would like make these different choices, my life would be better. But then I think there's also a time where we can just say like, okay, but they're not. Mm-hmm. I can't decide. I can't make anybody do anything. Yeah. But I can absolutely decide what I'm going to do. And so, yeah, for me coming back and being like, okay, I'm in my feelings about other people, and then being like, yeah, okay, but what am I going to do? What am I doing? Because the only person I can control is Nadine. Believe me, I've tried and I've failed. No one's doing anything that Nadine wants them to do except Nadine. So yeah, sort of coming back to the like, what are the things that I can do? What are the choices that I can make? And then lastly, and it's kind of connected, is if we need to, just distancing ourselves from like looking at other people all the time and being like, I'm going to focus on me and my own life. That's something that's been helpful for me also, and that may be helpful for other people.
Yeah. Rock star. Love it.
Yeah.
So good. Thank you so much for coming today. It was so nice to see you.
This was so fun. It was so nice seeing you again.
Total treat.
Again. Thanks for helping the community, and you all know where to find her now, and you're going to love her content, I feel.
Go follow her on Instagram. It's awesome.
Yay. I'm going to go make some more content right now. Actually, I'm going to have lunch first, and then I'm going to make some stuff. So
good self-care. Proud of you.
Thank you.